What's up everybody, Mr. Beans here. Today we are going to be talking about Indo cans and core cans. And if you've never heard of either of those, that's okay, because we are going to discuss what they are, how you can identify them, and what the differences are between them. Before we get into that, we need to also know the difference between a 4th gen hang tag and a 5th gen hang tag. Now, 4th and 5th gen hang tags are the ones like most people do have within their collections, and they have the yellow star on the front. There are slight differences between the two. If we take a look at both hang tags here, the 4th gen tag here on the left hand side has Beanie Original Baby written on it in pretty bold lettering compared to a 5th gen hang tag, which is a lot skinnier. The next thing that we can see is on the I in the word Beanie on the 4th gen tag, it is a straight up and down line, whereas on the 5th gen tag, the I has been crossed on the top and the bottom. If we take a look inside of the 4th gen hang tag, we will see the Beanie's name written alongside the style number, and the date of birth will be numerical. On the inside of a 5th gen hang tag, we can see that the Beanie's name is now centered over the top, and the date of birth will have the month written out. Next, we are going to dive into exactly what Indo cans and core cans are, starting off with Indo can. First things first, Indo can stands for Made in Indonesia and Intended for Sale in Canada. Indo can. Indo cans can only occur on 5th gen hang tag beanies, and that is because the Indonesian factories were not in production prior to 5th gen, and they did not remain in production after 5th gen. Now, how do we tell if we have an Indo can beanie? Well, first we need to see where the beanie was made. Most beanies on the market were handmade in China. These have been mass-produced by the millions, and it is what most people have. These are the common beanies people are referring to when they tell you your collection is maybe worth $1 to $5 per beanie, if you're lucky. However, if we look inside of the hang tag, it will always tell us on the lower left-hand side where our beanie was made. Here on this patty, we can see that she was handmade in Indonesia. As well as looking inside of the hang tag, we can check on the tush tag here, right on the spine, and it will also tell you it was handmade in Indonesia. Now, there is some poor information circulating out there. If we take a look on the very bottom right here, we will see the phrase 1965 KR. And it has been said that that means the beanie is Korean market and was made in Korea. That is 100% false. The beanie will always, always, always say on the tush tag as well as the hang tag where it was made. And if it is the original hang tag to the beanie, they will always line up. You don't want a tush tag saying Indonesia and a hang tag saying handmade in China. That is not the correct hang tag. What 1965 KR actually is just patent information, and all Beanie Babies are going to have that written on the tush tag. So, if you open up your hang tag or look on the tush tag of your 5th generation beanie and see that it was handmade in Indonesia, congratulations, you have a beanie that is worth more than the typical $1 to $5. But in order to capitalize on that, we really want it to be an Indo can, which means it was intended for sale in Canada. How do we tell if it was intended for sale in Canada? Again, we look to the tush tag. Many people have noticed on their beanies that not only do they have the typical tush tag here, but there is also this black and white tush attached to the bottom. That is a customs tush tag so that the beanie was able to be transported over state country borders and be eligible for sale in Canada. Now, on its own, if you have a Beanie Baby that has a Canadian tush tag, but it was made in China, that does not add any value. In order for this Canadian tush tag to have its value maximized, it needs to be in conjunction with the fact that it was made in Indonesia, therefore making it an Indo can. Typically, you can expect Indo cans to sell anywhere between $25 and $50, depending on what beanie it is occurring on, as well as whether or not it has been authenticated. Moving on, now that we understand what an Indo can is, let's talk about core can. Core can is everything exactly as I've just explained it, but rather than Indonesia, we are talking about a Beanie Baby that was handmade in Korea. Now, Korean Beanie Babies existed from generations 1 all the way up through generation 4, but the term core can pretty much relates to 4th gen beanies, as the Korean factories were not in production after 4th gen. So once again, we can look inside of our hang tag, see that our beanie was made in Korea, and then we can also take a look at the tush tag once again right on the spine here, and we can also see that it was handmade in Korea. This beanie does also have the Canadian Customs tag attached to it, making it a true core can. Now, as rare and valuable as Indo cans are, core cans are even more rare and more valuable. Expect them to fetch anywhere from $50 to $100 plus, depending on what the beanie is and whether or not it is authenticated. If you have a large supply of 4th and 5th gen beanies, it is true about 98 to 99% of them were mass produced by the millions. They are not valuable in any way, with the exception of some outlier pieces that do hold value that we will discuss in another video at another time. The best thing you can do for yourself if you have a ton of 4th gen and 5th gen Beanie Babies is to go through them and see where they were made. If you have 4th gens made in Korea, you can expect some money. If you have 5th gens made in Indonesia, you can expect better value. If you also can turn them over and see whether or not they have that Canadian tag as well as being made somewhere other than China, they are excellent examples of core can and Indo can. Well, guys, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this little lesson. I am Mr. Beans, and as always, I hope you had a fantastic time.